Your Majesty, dames en heren, mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. I have the honor and the joy to welcome you all here on this sunny day in this historical building in the center of Brussels. This is an exciting day. This event is organized to promote, to reflect, to encourage us all to recognize, to foster, and to facilitate philanthropy. Now, we can all have an impact. We can all make the difference, each and one of us. That's the good news. Each and one of us with our own particular capacities on our own level. How? Well, just by giving time, by giving attention, by giving financial support, or by just being there. Wasn't it Rumi, the Persian poet, and I really like that quote, who said, "We are not a drop in the ocean. We are, each and one of us, the ocean in a drop." We zijn zeer talrijk vanochtend, meer dan 1100 personen, een ongekend succes. En het zegt veel over het bewustzijn en ook over de noodzaak van filantropie in deze bijzondere tijden. Nous sommes ravis que vous soyez si nombreux à avoir accepté cette invitation. Nous sommes 1100 mensen, 1100 à avoir répondu favorablement et nous vous en remercions de tout cœur. Cela en dit long et large également sur notre prise de conscience. So, today we're going to reflect on the role of philanthropy and we're going to inspire. The question is how? Well, the day's program is built around four central themes. Be responsible, be enabled, be innovative, and be engaged. We are honored, Your Majesty, that you're in our midst, not only that you are in our midst today, but also that you accepted to deliver the opening speech. So without further ado, I have the honor and I would like to ask you to welcome everybody and to join me on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Her Majesty the Queen.
Monsieur le ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'événement qui nous réunit aujourd'hui doit nous aider à répondre à quelques questions essentielles qui se posent en matière de philanthropie. D'abord, nous devons nous interroger sur les raisons d'être de la philanthropie en 2023. Si de tout temps, l'aspiration à la solidarité et au partage a fait partie de la nature humaine, le désir d'empathie a, au cours des dernières années encore, été renforcé par la prise de conscience de notre fragilité collective, suite à la pandémie du Covid, à la guerre en Ukraine et à des catastrophes naturelles, comme les inondations de l'été 2021 en Belgique ou les récents tremblements de terre en Turquie et en Syrie. La philanthropie offre aussi cette particularité d'être un acte où toutes les parties sont gagnantes, car aider autrui rend plus heureux celui qui reçoit, mais aussi celui qui donne. La philanthropie met ses moyens financiers et son expérience de terrain au service de la communauté. Les individus, les familles, les entreprises complètent l'action d'autres instances pour construire une société inclusive, une société qui ne laisse personne au bord de la route. Hoe moedigen we filantropie nu aan? Dat lijkt me een tweede vraag. Leren we onze kinderen al op jonge leeftijd om vrijgevig te zijn? Zetten we in op moderne digitale tools zoals online giften? Wat dat betreft moeten we er ook rekening mee houden dat filantropie meer omvat dan enkel het schenken van geld. Mensen kunnen ook een steentje bijdragen door hun tijd te investeren. Bijvoorbeeld door een leerling te helpen die het moeilijk heeft op school. Door een jonge ondernemer te begeleiden of door een oudere persoon gezelschap te houden. Een bedrijf kan zijn maatschappelijke engagement ook tonen door zijn activiteiten op een sociaal en ecologisch verantwoorde manier uit te voeren. Het is belangrijk om ook die vormen van filantropie te ondersteunen. Een derde vraag heeft te maken met de band tussen de schenker en het project. Moet er een duidelijk aanwijsbare band bestaan tussen de schenker en een specifiek goed doel? Of moeten we veel meer inzetten op schaal en volume via het bundelen van individuele schenkingen in grotere collectieve fondsen, om zo de problemen aan te pakken? Wat is de beste werkwijze? Het antwoord op die vraag zal afhangen van de aard van het doel. En het zal ongetwijfeld ook mee evolueren met de technologieën die het mogelijk maken om schenkingen en projecten steeds persoonlijker te beheren. Fourthly, how can we be sure that no cause has been forgotten? Needs are unfortunately growing, since far too many people in Belgium, Europe, and elsewhere in the world experience poverty or become vulnerable as a result of life's events. In some instances, emergency aid has to be provided for victims of natural disasters, whilst at other times we have to deal with long-term problems, such as the quality of life for our seniors. What is important is to meet as many needs as possible, and that each and every person can support the project closest to his or her heart. Finally, once a donation has been made, how can we maximize its impact? What guarantees can we give to the donor that the money so generously donated will be used in the best possible way? What should the institutions managing philanthropy do in order to retain donors' confidence? What are the best tools to evaluate the proper management of funds received? Philanthropic organizations have been making great efforts in recent years to raise their professional standards in line with societal trends more generally. These questions, and many others, are being asked not only locally, but also at European and global levels. The discussions you will have today should help you to answer such questions, and I am very proud, as honorary president of the King Baudouin Foundation, that the foundation took the initiative for this event. Pour terminer, je voudrais souligner que cette journée consacrée à réfléchir à la philanthropie en Belgique et en Europe est aussi l'occasion d'exprimer toute notre reconnaissance, non seulement aux donateurs, mais aussi aux institutions et aux acteurs de terrain qui se consacrent jour après jour à transformer la générosité en projet concret pour le bien d'autrui. Je ne doute pas que vos échanges contribueront à construire une philanthropie pérenne, efficace et innovante pour répondre encore mieux aux besoins du vivre ensemble de nos sociétés. Merci.
Thank you, Your Majesty, for this concrete opening speech and for this picture, this global picture that you just gave us. Now, indeed, the sector is facing a lot of challenges, a lot of challenging questions. De afgelopen jaren is filantropie bejubeld en erkend, maar natuurlijk ook in vraag gesteld en af en toe ook bekritiseerd. Ja, hoe gaan we nu om met deze gemengde gevoelens, met de verantwoordelijkheden en met al die vraagtekens? Wat kunnen we nog meer doen om het algemeen belang te dienen? Alors, quels sont les défis, quelles sont les opportunités pour la philanthropie en 2023, sachant qu'elle est plus que jamais nécessaire, mais aussi observée et critiquée? La transparence, il y a beaucoup aussi à dire sur la transparence, tellement de choses à dire, tellement de choses à partager aujourd'hui. Now let's have a closer look at these challenges and opportunities for philanthropy in 2023. Please welcome the chairman of the Board of Governors of the King Baudouin Foundation, Mr. Pierre Wunsch.
Thank you very much. Majesté, Excellence, Mesdames et Messieurs. Merci d'abord, Majesté, d'avoir inauguré cette journée de manière si ouverte et stimulante. Je crois que les questions que vous avez adressées sont essentielles. Elles sont au cœur des responsabilités et enjeux de la philanthropie et doivent effectivement guider cette journée de réflexion. Je voudrais également souligner combien je suis certain que ces préoccupations sont partagées par l'audience, si nombreuses aujourd'hui. C'est un vrai plaisir de vous voir effectivement si nombreux. Et vous savez qu'on a dû en réalité refuser de nombreuses inscriptions. Vous êtes plus de 1000 et vous témoignez ensemble de l'importance, de la vitalité de la philanthropie dans notre société. Vooral deze geweldige betrokkenheid willen wij vieren. En ik wil er u ten zeerste voor bedanken. Philanthropie is een waarde van de democratie. Ze vertegenwoordigt de ruimte die elk van ons krijgt om iets in de samenleving te veranderen. Met onze eigen middelen, onze eigen energie, maar ook onze persoonlijke verhalen. Philanthropy is a state of mind. And at the King Baudouin Foundation, we witness how philanthropy enables us to connect with the world and its vulnerabilities, and with our own vulnerabilities, which you, Your Majesty, have just evoked. And so often, it is up to professional charitable organizations to help philanthropists transform their dreams of change into the projects that make a difference, from dreams to projects. This is a great responsibility, a beautiful endeavor. While today the signs of commitment are numerous and the work being done significant, there is no doubt that the challenges to be faced are enormous, not to mention urgent and complex. First, with regard to urgency, we've seen during the recent crisis that humanitarian, philanthropic, charitable organizations often have invaluable financial resources and the ability to mobilize them. They can draw on skills and networks that enable them to provide urgent support for those in need. Philanthropy has thus been able to support food banks in times of crisis and exhausted frontline workers during the COVID-19 pandemics, as well as facilitate cross-border donations to grassroots organizations. Turning now to complexity, it is clear that the current solutions are no longer adequate for the problems we face. The challenges confronting us are inextricably connected, and their interaction gives rise to various impacts. Whether it is the fight against inequality, climate change, access to education, energy, food and water, or the protection of the democracy we live in and the rule of law, these challenges cannot be addressed in isolation. A holistic approach is needed, which takes into account complexity and the interaction of various challenges facing us as a society. And if you would allow me to pause here for a second, I'm 55. When I was a student, the idea of a sort of linear progress was sort of obvious. We were going to move towards a fairer and more tolerant world. We had no doubt about that. The only question was, how long it would going to take. There would be ups and downs, but the direction was clear. The direction is not clear anymore. We see bifurcations. We see tolerance regressing in some parts of the world. We see fairness not being evident anymore. So we need to put our societies back on track of progress on these areas. So it is the responsibility of philanthropic organizations in Europe to work in a complementary manner in that direction, in partnership with governments, with civil society organizations and businesses, to search for new and sustainable solutions. Philanthropic organizations have a considerable advantage here. They have relatively more time for experimentation and participation. They are not subject to electoral timetables, client or shareholder pressures, and can therefore serve as laboratories for social innovation and inclusive participation. For example, a consortium of European foundations recently carried out a pan-European project entitled Fair Energy Transition for All. The project explored the concerns, fears, hopes and expectations of economically and socially disadvantaged people regarding the energy transition. This was done through engaging in the dialogue with traditionally unheard or unseen people in 9 European countries to collect their ideas and thoughts on the effects of the energy transition in their daily lives. The findings will be used to provide input to national and European policymakers for the development of a fair energy transition to enhance communication with target groups. We all know that there is a huge distributional dimension to the transition. We need more information on that. We need to make sure that when we take decisions on that front, we are not going to disturb the lives of people in need. However, more is required. Philanthropic organizations must also ensure that their capital and investments are in line with their mission. There is still significant room for growth and improvement in this regard. Impact investing, which claims to achieve both societal and financial returns, is a practice that is being increasingly explored in this regard. Finally, our organization must learn to be transparent about their operations. We must dare to share our results and successes, as well as our doubts and failures and shortcomings. And so, as we here gather today, let us embrace a spirit of transparency and confidence. Let us question ourselves and our practices, and let us work towards making a positive impact on society. I wish you all a stimulating and productive day. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Wunsch. Now, in the latest Global Philanthropy Environment Index by the University of Indiana, Belgium scores well, apparently. The climate for philanthropy is perceived as stable and favorable in our country, despite all the challenges we are facing. Tekst en uitleg, onder andere, over deze studie krijgt u van onze vice-eerste minister, de Deputy Minister and Minister of Finance of the Belgian Government, Vincent van Peteghem.
Majesteit, chers invités, ladies and gentlemen. Ik wens de Koning Boudewijn Stichting heel hard te bedanken voor de uitnodiging en om mij vandaag de kans te bieden om u deze ochtend toe te spreken. Want het is mij namelijk een hele eer en genoegen om in dit prachtige kader omringd te zijn door u allen. Samen bent u hier vandaag met meer dan 1000, elk actief in de wereld van de filantropie, elk geheel verschillend en opererend vanuit een heel verschillende achtergrond, maar wel hier bijeen met één heldere doelstelling, met de middelen die u ter beschikking heeft van onze samenleving, van onze wereld, een betere plek maken. Et permettez-moi donc de profiter de cette occasion unique pour vous parler brièvement de la manière dont la politique s'articule ou peut s'articuler avec vous et avec votre engagement personnel. Parce que laisser notre monde meilleur que nous l'avons trouvé est un engagement que nous partageons. Il est clair pour moi que nous sommes plus forts côté à côté. Dat we schouder aan schouder verder geraken. And that we get better results shoulder to shoulder. Ladies and gentlemen, in the latest Global Philanthropy Environment Index by the University of Indiana, our country ranks high in a list of 91 countries evaluated. Along with other neighbors like Netherlands and Germany, among others, but also the Scandinavian countries and the US, Belgium scores extremely well. The climate for philanthropy is perceived as stable and favorable in our country. En net daar komt de politiek natuurlijk uitdrukkelijk op het toneel. Zo besluit het rapport, onder andere, dat de wettelijke kaders in ons land voorspelbaar zijn en er een vrij sterke en stabiele as tussen filantropische organisaties en de publieke sector bestaat. En ik wil u alvast verzekeren dat het mijn overtuiging is dat we op deze ingeslagen weg verder moeten gaan. Want ik ben ervan overtuigd dat een positief filantropisch klimaat wenselijk is en het gevolg is van weloverwogen en welbepaalde politieke keuzes. Et c'est ainsi que nous habitons, vivons et travaillons dans un pays doté d'un État-providence efficace. Un État-providence qui fournit un filet de sécurité sociale à ceux qui subissent un coup dur et qui offre des soins abordables et de proximité à tous ceux qui en ont besoin à tout moment de leur vie. That social welfare state is the result of a political decision, a radical choice by democratically elected politicians to use a sizable portion of tax revenues to protect the most vulnerable in our society, a choice from which we are reaping the benefits to this day. En de uitspraak zal u ongetwijfeld uw aandacht trekken en kan misschien de basis vormen voor een bredere gedachtenwisseling. Maar ik durf hier met de hand op het hart stellen dat de creatie van onze welvaartsstaat, dat een van de belangrijkste filantropische daden is in de geschiedenis van ons land. Niet alleen omdat we jaar na jaar een omvangrijk budget ter beschikking stellen ten goede van de samenleving. Maar ook omdat de keuze voor de welvaartsstaat ervoor zorgt dat elke Belg, dankzij onze sociale zekerheid, heel snel in het leven wordt gewezen op een begrip dat ook u allen heel na aan het hart ligt. Solidariteit. Et la solidarité est la volonté de partager le gâteau avec ceux qui en ont plus besoin à certains moments de la vie. Cette solidarité est inhérente à notre état social. Aujourd'hui, par exemple, je paie la pension de mes parents et mes 3 filles paieront un jour ma pension. Cette réciprocité et cette solidarité sont à la base de tout notre système de sécurité sociale. But ladies and gentlemen, that solidarity, especially how people perceive solidarity, comes under pressure from time to time. Those working today sometimes feel that working pays less, that the gap between the social safety net and the wages for work is too small. On the other end of the spectrum, we then see that higher wage earners more often feel that they only bear the burden of solidarity measures and less often receive the benefits. Die twijfels over ons sociaal zekerheidsmodel hebben het potentieel om het systeem op losse schroeven te zetten. Het moet ons dan ook aanmoedigen om elke dag de solidariteitsgedachte te beschermen en ook verder te versterken. En dat brengt ons tot een heel belangrijke taak voor de politiek. De taak om mensen te verzekeren dat ook zij hun hele leven lang zullen kunnen en mogen genieten van dat sociale systeem. De taak om mensen te overtuigen van de werking van ons solidair systeem en het nut van het leveren van een eerlijke bijdrage. Tout d'abord, nous ne pouvons y parvenir que par une réforme radicale. Une réforme radicale de nos soins de santé, des pensions et de notre fiscalité. Des réformes qui garantissent l'accessibilité et la viabilité de chacun de ces systèmes pour les décennies à venir. Également, afin d'assurer à ceux qui entrent aujourd'hui pour la première fois sur le marché du travail ou qui versent leur première cotisation sociale ou contribution fiscale, que les générations qui les suivent en feront de même. Que nous maintiendrons notre État-providence fondé sur la solidarité. Maar dames en heren, ik ben ook niet te beroerd om toe te geven dat de overheid niet alles zal oplossen en ook niet alles kan oplossen met het eigen uitgebouwde systeem van solidariteit. Dat denken zou schuldig verzuimd zijn, want om zoveel mogelijk mensen vooruit te helpen, reiken we natuurlijk ook de hand naar ieder die bereid is om solidair of filantropisch te zijn. For instance, we reach out to many hundreds of good causes across the country. And for that, we count on the National Lottery, among others, whose CEO is already here this morning. The lottery has been a loyal partner for organizations in the social, cultural, and sports sectors for many years. Thanks to many hundreds of thousands of Belgians who participate in a lottery game for a small amount, they have been able to support numerous activities and initiatives and associations in our country for years. That is the core of the social mission of the National Lottery. En de afgelopen maanden mocht ik als bevoegd minister voor de Nationale Loterij ook tal van vertegenwoordigers ontmoeten van verenigingen en organisaties die zich inzetten voor het welzijn van de meest kwetsbaren in onze samenleving. Het heeft mijn geloof in de rol van een sterk middenveld enkel maar doen groeien. Want zonder een sterk en hardwerkend middenveld kan je namelijk nooit scoren. Dat geldt voor elke voetbalploeg, dat geldt voor de Rode Duivels, maar dat geldt voor de overheid evenzeer. Une société civile forte et diversifiée est essentielle pour une démocratie saine et il incombe au pouvoir public de la soutenir, y compris financièrement. De cette manière, nous augmentons non seulement la visibilité des thèmes sociétaux et des problématiques de société, mais nous donnons également un visage bien mérité aux organisations de la société civile qui travaillent dans l'ombre depuis de nombreuses années et qui ont un impact. And that, of course, is what each and every one of you strives for every day. Thanks to your commitment, thanks to your financial efforts, you give numerous good causes, excellent scientific institutions, or cultural gems a boost and give them the attention they so desperately deserve. De financiële steun die u hen biedt, kan de overheid onmogelijk zelf volledig opnemen. Ik zie het dan ook als een heel belangrijke taak van de overheid om die filantropische gedachte waar mogelijk zoveel als mogelijk te ondersteunen. Zeker als die past binnen de doelstellingen die we als overheid hebben vooropgesteld, binnen onze eigen welvaartsstaat, binnen onze ambitieuze klimaatdoelstellingen of ons cultureel en wetenschappelijk beleid. Het spreekt dan ook voor zich dat we de bestaande fiscale stimulansen ook de komende jaren zullen behouden. Ook in het licht van de werkzaamheden in het kader van een bredere fiscale hervorming. En dat we net zoals tijdens de coronacrisis niet zullen twijfelen om die stimulansen te vergroten wanneer onze goede doelen en onze middenveldsorganisaties daar nood aan hebben. Want dames en heren, solidariteit zit volgens mij in ieder van ons. Dat toont ook de recente barometer van de Philanthropy van de Koning Boudewijn Stichting heel duidelijk aan. Maar het is een waakvlammetje. Het moet elke dag opnieuw aangewakkerd worden. En het is aan ons allen om dat vuur brandend te houden. Een opdracht waar we alleen maar zullen in slagen als we die samen aanpakken. Vous pouvez en tout cas compter sur un allié politique qui soutiendra vos activités philanthropiques autant que possible, afin qu'elles complètent utilement notre précieuse solidarité socialement organisée et largement plébiscitée. Thank you very much.
Dank u wel, meneer Van Peteghem. Now, the American actor Forrest Whitaker hardly needs an introduction. He was designated as a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador for Peace and Reconciliation in June 2011. And since then, he has been an active supporter of the UNESCO values. He is going to share with us today his philanthropic journey. How did he get involved? What brought him to philanthropy? Why did he get engaged? And how can philanthropy make the difference according to him? Now, after the video, we will welcome the Executive Director of the Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative, Mrs. Caroline Descombris, and she will tell us more about the strategy of the WPDI. But first, place à l'image.
I would like to say how much you tried to be with us in Brussels today, but that recent professional commitments did change these plans. I also know that you know very much and you appreciate some very distinguished guests that are here today. Would you like to say a few words?
I'd like to take an opportunity to thank Her Majesty the Queen just for her support in my participating in this discussion and to be involved with the philanthropic work that's being done by many people here today. It was really exciting because I had met her a number of years ago. We shared a lot of similar interests in regards to dealing with people from disadvantaged backgrounds, to dealing with trauma and healthcare and a number of different things in development. So it's great to be able to be here today.
We are here to reflect on philanthropy, to enable philanthropy, and also to inspire. What brought you to philanthropy? Why did you engage?
I think that I was involved in philanthropy before I really was acknowledging that I was. I mean, I was just trying to work with my fellow man, or trying to uplift people in the best ways I could, taking on the sort of model that what I see in somebody else is a reflection of myself, and that I need to do something to help. And so my work started to bring me there, and that work led to, I guess, the term philanthropy from my point of view. That's what I've been doing for the last 10 years specifically, my own organization. And years before that, without any understanding of what that meant.
But you have many involvements in philanthropy. How do you choose? You are a UNESCO Special Envoy for Peace and Rehabilitation. You just mentioned also your role in the UN Advocacy Group for SDGs.
The UN is like peace, equality, and a healthy planet. That's like pretty much what we're working for. And then the same is like building peace in the hearts and minds of men and women from the model of UNESCO. So both of those things really fit into my agenda in a way where we're all working together for the same purpose of being able to free the planet of conflict in the best ways we can and allow every individual to have the ability to have peace, health, happiness, and prosperity in their lives.
You mentioned, of course, obviously, the Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative. We will have the pleasure to welcome Caroline Descombris in a few minutes on scene, and she will explain the missions and the actions of WPDI. From your heart, why did you choose to work on peace and sustainable development?
I mean, I think that growing up as a young kid in America, as an Afro-American, and looking at some of the conflicts and different things in the neighborhood, sparked an interest in me being able to work in that area. And I think the first things was to start working with gang members when I was younger, and then domestic violence. And then when I came over to Uganda, I got a chance to meet some of the child soldiers there. I could see the same look in their eyes that I could see in the eyes of the kids that I grew up with. So I decided to make that sort of a life purpose And fortunately, I had great people working with me like Carolyn and amazing staff to be able to actualize it and make it grow. It's grown over the last 10 years. We've probably started about 500 businesses, and we've dealt with 1.5 million people in different ways, and it's been exciting for me to help in benefiting the growth.
Youth empowerment and also the promotion of gender equality is also very important to you.
Yeah, it's one of the goals of our organization. Fortunately, we have programs in 8 countries. About 50% of them are women. Particularly in South Africa, we graduated about 750 young and older women to work with entrepreneurship, because it's one of our goals. And so it's an agenda that we continue to work towards, and we're glad to be involved with everybody who's in the same agenda.
You have a very successful career in cinema. How does that influence your philanthropic work? Or vice versa, how does your philanthropic work influences your successful career?
I think there's a creative aspect to being able to develop the work that's necessary to give people the tools to be able to succeed. And I think initially I just had an idea of having 4 pillars of conflict resolution, life skills, ICT, and social entrepreneurship. And so all this was the beginning of what we wanted to do. In that way, it was a creative endeavor based on things that I had learned and things that I had read. And I think continuing to have that, to be able to be on the ground and understand how to mediate, as our youths are mediating in different areas, sometimes mediating conflicts between tens of thousands of people. And these youths have to use their creativity to know and feel, and their empathy to be able to know exactly what to do to make those things work and make changes happen. So I think that's a part of it. And as far as myself as an artist, I can't help but be influenced by the energies and the things that I've heard and known. They become a part of me. And that's a great gift, actually, that I'm receiving. Sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's beautiful, but I learn from it.
Amongst the many things you achieved with your own organization and with all your engagements, what are you the most proud of, philanthropically speaking, of course?
I guess I'm most proud of the beneficiaries. We have youths that are building businesses, from sushi tracks in South Africa to farms in South Sudan. These kids impressed me. I remember Simon, who was one of our first trainees, he grabbed my hand and walked me up to his electric store. And then he showed me next to that was a school that he was training the other people to do the same thing that he had been doing. And we find that happening with our beauty shops that have been made. And it's exciting to see them be able to mediate conflicts, go into communities and change the temperament and help them move towards peace. They've been doing a lot of things, and you can't help but be excited about that.
I see a philanthropic smile on your face. How can philanthropy make the difference, according to you?
Every person can be able to do something to help, small or big. I think Desmond Tutu kind of said it when he said, do all your little bits of good wherever you are, and all your little bits of good will overwhelm the world. And I think that people need to know that and take on this movement, the movement to be able to find peace on the planet, prosperity for all. And I think it's something that's exciting for me to know that I'm continuing to walk in, and I will continue to go forward till that's changed.
Mr. Whitaker, on behalf of the King Baudouin Foundation, thank you so much for this inspiring conversation, and thank you again for your availability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Majesté, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, Dames en Heren, désolée pour mon accent. C'est un véritable honneur pour moi de m'adresser à vous au nom de Forest Whitaker pour vous parler du travail concret que nous menons avec la Whitaker Peace and Development Initiative. Comme vous l'avez entendu, Forest a toujours perçu sa notoriété comme un atout pour lutter en faveur des causes qui lui sont chères. Cela lui permet d'avoir une certaine influence, une voix pour convaincre les décideurs d'agir pour la paix, ce qu'il fait dès qu'il le peut, notamment à travers ses fonctions d'envoyé spécial de l'UNESCO pour la paix et la réconciliation, ou encore en tant que SDG Advocate auprès des Nations Unies. Mais il est le premier à dire que ce n'est pas suffisant. Il faut aussi être présent sur le terrain, rencontrer, apprendre, mais surtout faire preuve d'humilité. Forest voulait toucher directement ceux qui en ont le plus besoin, notamment les jeunes et les femmes, dans les zones touchées par le conflit et la pauvreté et la violence. Ils sont toujours trop souvent ignorés et marginalisés, alors que leur potentiel d'innovation sociale est immense. C'est pour cela qu'il a créé WPDI en 2012, peu de temps après s'être associé avec l'UNESCO. In his quest for ability, Forest strongly believes that people from underprivileged areas should be empowered to help their own communities. This is the core of his approach to philanthropy and the basis of WPDI strategy, mobilizing direct beneficiaries in order to generate a multiplier effect on the ground. This approach can be applied to different places and in different countries, which is demonstrated by the fact that we have programs in Africa, the Americas, and Europe. A good example is our conflict resolution education programs in schools that teaches students to make their community at school and at home more peaceful and safe. Likewise, the managers of the 500 businesses that Forest was mentioning and we helped to create over the years have generated jobs for thousands of employees. Our programs are designed to enable beneficiaries to take action. This is why we cover such areas as vocational training, ICT, gender equality, conflict resolution, income generation, but also trauma healing. Over the years, this multiplier effect has helped us to directly reach nearly 2 million people, many of them in remote areas that are difficult to access. There is another aspect of humility behind these achievements. It is to recognize the importance of working with the community and its stakeholders. You cannot simply walk into schools without involving teachers. And you cannot be an entrepreneur without being integrated into the fabric of the local economy. Of course, our work would not be possible without the trust of our partners and donors who have agreed to promote and support social innovation in very complex settings alongside us. And I firmly believe that WPDI is effective and credible because Forest's philanthropic journey is deeply rooted into his most personal values. This contributes to making WPDI a very special place, where everyone has a sense of purpose, from Forest to our remarkable staff at the grassroots level. And here I would like to share with you an example of the incredible achievements that Victor and Jose, two of our youth peacemakers from indigenous community in Chiapas, Mexico, a few years ago, they launched a gardening cooperative designed to train local families on how to grow their own food and sell their surplus to local markets. Thanks to them, life was transformed to over 300 families, a success that was recognized by the Mexican government and the UN, who invited them to showcase their work at the 2021 Climate Conference in Glasgow. And their efforts did not stop at bringing healthy and affordable food to their community. They also set up a community learning center to make knowledge and skills accessible for people in their hometown. These two youths are really a testament of the success of the multiplier effect of our model, and they have become models themselves. I also would like to mention another story, which is very close to my heart. One of our youth peacemaker, Magdalena, a young woman from South Sudan, a country where unfortunately women don't have much of a voice. A few years ago, she was called upon to address an armed conflict that had been ongoing for 10 years between two enemy tribes, with many casualties, fueling endless cycles of revenge that even the UN-backed experts had failed to resolve. At some point, local authorities, having heard about the remarkable work of Magdalena in the area on mediation, decided to mobilize her. It was a bold move, and she proved them right. After months of difficult negotiation with both sides, she was able to set up a dialogue and upon a road to peace. This was a tremendous success, not only for peace, but also for women's empowerment. Magdalena proved that young people and women have a key role to play in helping transform their communities. This is what our thousands of young leaders do every day, often in very difficult places. They are our assets on the ground, and our experience has taught us that there is always a tremendous potential to be found in such places. Mobilizing this potential requires attentiveness, commitment, dedication, but also humility. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, je vous remercie pour votre attention. Danke voor uw hart.
Merci, Madame Caroline Descombris. Thank you for sharing these beautiful stories with us. It gives us goosebumps. Voilà, we zijn aan het einde gekomen van deze plenaire zitting, mais la journée évidemment ne fait que commencer. Au programme 12 sessions inspirantes autour de 4 thèmes, comme je l'ai dit en début de la matinée, autour de 4 thèmes centraux. Soyez responsables, actifs, innovants et engagés. I will give you more practical details in a couple of minutes after Her Majesty the Queen has left. Your Majesty, thank you again for your presence here this morning and for the opening speech which inspired all of us, I think. Thank you again. Thank you also for setting the tone during the inauguration. Thank you. Thank you.